Howdy. Something about cattle. Uh, in the little village I live, there's some, you know, people can send messages or whatever if there's something going on or something. And turned out today there is free milk. So we gathered some bottles and stuff where you can put milk, and I went to get milk. We got several liters of 2 hours fresh milk. Straight, almost straight from the cow. It has been in the tank for 2 hours. For free. I just had to go there, give them the empty bottle, and I got a full bottle back. Didn't cost a single cent. At the moment I heard about that there is free milk, I thought that, yes, there might be a very sad story behind that. Turned out to be true. Cattle, Bos taurus, are large domesticated cloven-hoofed herbivores. They are a prominent modern member of the subfamily Bovinae and the most widespread species of the genus Bos. Adult females are referred to as cows, and adult males are referred to as bulls. Cattle are commonly raised as livestock for meat, beef or veal, see beef cattle, for milk, and for hides, which are used to make leather. They are used as riding animals and draft animals. Another product of cattle is their dung, which can be used to create manure or fuel. In some regions, such as parts of India, cattle have significant religious significance. Cattle, mostly small breeds such as the miniature zebu, are also kept as pets. So, I went there. I've never been there at the place, and it's dark, so I have no idea how the surrounding looks. But it was very easy to find the place, because there was a big truck in their yard, and they were putting all the cows in the truck. The next station where the truck will stop is the butcher house. This means one place less where we get milk here in Finland. I got basically the last drops of milk, because she said it's now the tank is already really empty. And so I stood there and waited to get my bottles filled up with fresh milk, untreated, while listening the cows walking into the truck. All together. I don't know how old they were, but they probably lived all their life together there. And now all the cows make their very last trip. And one after one after one gets butchered. The reason? It is not profitable. Yeah. This is how the changes of the world also affect, like, our neighborhood here in the forests of Finland, somewhere in eastern Finland. Capitalism kills. Where ignorance reigns, life is lost. But Now to something else. News. Norway became vital to the EU, which Russia also seems to be interested in. This is a new situation for us too. Norway's oil and gas revenues have increased enormously during the prevailing energy crisis. I will put a link, you can check the whole thing if you're interested to. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Norway became the European Union's main gas importer. Earlier, the country was the second largest supplier of gas after Russia, but the situation has changed. Currently, Norway handles about 35% of European gas supplies, which has made it the largest importing country. Today, Norway is the continent's most significant source of energy. We are currently delivering at a maximum capacity, so we have done everything we can to increase production in a very short time. We don't have the ability to deliver more than we do now. It's more about maintaining the production levels, says Offshore Norway's climate and environmental manager Benedikt Solas. Offshore Norge is Norway's oil and gas industry employers association. The organization's communications director Kolbjorn Andreasen reminds that Europe also receives liquefied natural gas, LNG, from the United States and Qatar, among others. He considers it good that most European countries have increased their storage capacity and filled their warehouses before winter. I hope there won't be a cold winter, when countries will have to use large amount of their stored gas. Then the next winter would be even worse. New LNG terminals have also started to be built in Europe, but it won't happen in a day or two. In an interview with Iltalehti, Solas brings up the environmental perspective. Pipeline gas delivered from Norway to Europe has a smaller carbon footprint than, for example, energy delivered by ship from the USA. The carbon footprint of Norwegian pipeline gas is 10 times smaller than that of American gas, which is delivered by sea in an LNG tanker to Europe. He also talks about the climate strategy. Strategy? That was developed in 2020. Ambitious goals have been set for it, which are all in line with the policies made by the EU. The emissions are planned to be halved by 2030 and close to zero by 2050. The person in charge of climate and environment focuses largely on gas when he talks, so it is worth asking how oil is doing. Well, of course, we also supply oil. More or less, all of our oil exports go to Europe. The goals concern both oil and gas production. Tough goals. The goals are tough, and even Sola admits it. Despite the energy crisis, the country has not given up on them. Solas emphasizes the stability and reliability of Norwegian companies as an energy partner. Achieving the goals will be challenging, but it is possible, and I think it's important for both governments and other industries that impact assessments are made and that the progress of the goals is monitored annually. The demand for gas is relative to oil. No, the demand for gas relative to oil has increased during the energy crisis. Andreasson explains that this makes it possible when gas production is increased to leave part of the oil unpumped. The carbon footprint of gas is smaller than that of oil. We have set ambitious goals for further reductions, even though our emissions from oil productions are already among the lowest in an international comparison. Various projects are also underway, such as the Energy Capital Project of the city Stavanger. Its goal is to secure Stavanger's position as an energy capital and to actively increase and maintain environmental operators and jobs in the region. Another project that Andresen highlights is the so-called Northern Lights project. Among other things, it aims to increase the capture and storage of carbon dioxide internationally. Simplified, we export, for example, natural gas to Germany. They use it, capture the carbon dioxide, and transport it back to the North Sea via pipelines or ships. After this, we return the carbon dioxide into the soil. In addition, the toolkit includes, for example, increasing energy efficiency, limiting gas burning, and using low-emission and zero-emission fuels such as hydrogen, ammonia, and biofuels. A huge amount of money. The energy crisis hits Norway directly financially. Its oil and gas revenues are estimated to multiply this year due to drastically increased prices. But where does all this money go, which the EU countries are now pushing into Norway? Do they pump it into the ground as well? No, sorry. It shouldn't be laughed about, this serious kind of stuff. The vast majority of profits from the oil and gas industry, up to 90%, still go to Norway's state pension funds. So they are saved, which is probably the only country in the whole world. They are intended for future generations, Andreasen states. When asked if in short term it is intended to use these profits from the energy crisis for other purposes, well, he brings up Ukraine. That decision is made by the authorities. However, we know that Ukraine has promised to support in gas purchases this winter in order to secure supplies there. In addition, weapons and other supplies are delivered to them, so the Norwegian state supports Ukraine during the crisis. Safety. Norway's importance as a guarantor of Europe's energy security. Energy security has recently been seen, among other things, in the unrest in the country's airspace. The Norwegian police have previously said that they have been arrested several Russians who are believed to have engaged in espionage or attempted sabotage using drones. We have an increased security level since the beginning of the war, and it has now been increased even more in Norway, both on land and at the sea. The situation is taken extremely seriously, and safety is very high on the agenda. This is a new situation for us too. The effects on the ongoing large-scale war in Europe extend in many different ways throughout Europe and beyond. In Norway, they are aware of the increased importance for the energy security of the entire continent. The coming years will show us whether we were able to stick to the hard climate goals or whether they were left at the feet of the energy crisis. We are living in a period of multiple overlapping crises, and the 2020s cannot be said to have been humanity's best time so far. Sorry, kids. I'm really sorry, kids. I have 4 kids. We are all struggling with the world which is created by the adults. Also, my kids are fighting against climate change and stuff, you know, because they get taught it in school. Simplified, we export, for example, natural gas to Germany. They use it, capture the carbon dioxide, and transport it back to the North Sea via pipelines or ships. After this, we return the carbon dioxide into the soil. I want to show once again. Good news, network. Good news. New rooftop CO2 ventilators funnel fumes into fertilizer that makes spinach grow 4 times bigger in roof gardens. They are fed with CO2 and get 4 times bigger. 4 times more food just by adding CO2. Hey, Norwegians, would it be an idea not to pump the CO2 into the ground? and just grow food that we can feed, for example, the cows which provide us with milk. Would this be an idea? Use some geothermal energy for, like, you know, grow food. Norwegians are getting rich and pumping CO2 into the ground, and then they are buying food from wherever in the world because they have the money, others don't. Why don't the Germans use the CO2 they produce in order to grow food for their own population? I don't know. I am no scientist, I'm just an average simple dude. But now I have to go to the sauna, which is heated by wood. Even though it's windy. Well, anyway, thanks, bye.